ago. An accident in the same area along this backup, I-85 south at Cox Road. The accident is in the shoulder.
Good Friday morning. We're here in Chester where the investigation continues into that terrible tragedy where a bus carrying students from Pine Ridge Middle School overturned. There were 35 students on board, 3 adults, 1 fatality confirmed by the Highway Patrol. At this time, the investigation continues. Police have not released the identity of that person who was killed, but the investigation continues.
A former Catawba County substitute teacher is facing statutory rape charges this morning. Caitlin Schwartz is behind bars, and a notice to families. The school district says there's no indication the charges are connected to her time with the school district and that she was fired immediately.
You now have more time to file your federal taxes in North Carolina. The IRS is extending the deadline to September 25th due to impacts from Hurricane Helene. The original extension deadline was May 1st. Right now, South Carolina's state deadline is still May 1st.
And happening today, Charlotte libraries will be closed until next Tuesday, April 22nd. This is so they can update their behind-the-scenes software. During this time, books and other materials cannot be returned, but there will be no late fees. Digital services will remain available.
Check your calendars. It does not feel like April. So the beginning of June in Charlotte has an average temperature of 84 degrees. That's today. And then the middle of June, about the upper 80s, but then it's really late May that we have the lower 80s. So it actually feels like June the next 4 days, May the following 3 days. So yeah, well above average temperatures. Now, one thing that changes big time is heading into next week. It'll start to feel a little bit more humid, and we have on and off rain chances and storm chances. So the next 4 days, definitely the best stretch over the foreseeable future.
And we could use some rain.
Yeah, definitely. So it's good for everyone. We need the rain. We also want a great weekend for Easter, so we got it.
Excellent. A reminder that the news does not end here. We'll have more breaking news, weather, including that traffic situation on I-85 coming up on WCNC Plus. 7 o'clock now on this Friday morning. Thanks for joining us on WCNC Plus. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Megan Bragg in for Ben. Right now, we've got trouble on the roadways. Destiny Richards is here with an update before you head out the door. Destiny?
Yeah, this morning we are tracking a serious crash in Gaston County, specifically in Gastonia at I-85 southbound at US 321. There's a 2-mile closure happening in Gastonia, but the backups are really what's causing main issues this morning for people heading southbound. So you'll likely be running into this if you're coming from the Charlotte area, Mecklenburg County, headed into Gastonia and Gaston County. So please plan ahead for this backup. Looking at the map, the Charlotte area in general is looking really good. No traffic jams over here, but we are just focusing, lasering in on this backup right here. And this crash was reported around 4:30 this morning, so it's been a problem all day. We just learned that one patient was taken to Claremont, Maine. They were taken to the hospital for their injuries, and the traffic backup, of course, is the story now. So I-85 south at US 321 closed through NC7, 2-mile closure, and then about 2 mile, a little beyond 2 miles of a backup right there. So the best thing to do this morning is to avoid I-85 southbound or just exit sooner. We do have also a crash within this backup. So there is a crash that was reported about 20 minutes ago. This is in the shoulder, so the shoulder is blocked, I-85 south at Cox Road. Some other accidents we're following in the Charlotte area, but not causing as big of an issue. An accident in the shoulder, I-85 southbound at North Graham Street, that's exit 40 in Northeast Charlotte. And then going down south close to Matthews, Sam Newell Road at NC 51. Again, not any huge backups here. You'll mainly want to be aware of that crash on I-85 southbound in Gastonia. Now let's send it to Chris for the weather.
Thanks a lot, Destiny. You're doing a great job. Hate to see that in the traffic world. Luckily, the weather's behaving for you. Check it out. Lots of sunshine to go around. Oh, this is going to be good. I'm really excited. Now, if you love the 80s, this is going to be your stretch because we pretty much have the 80s every day going forward over the next 7 days. I'll show you on our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. But Mr. Spark, Carolina Camera Network, showing greatness wherever you look. 52 degrees, the warm spot. That's you, Charlotte. 41 Morganton, 44 degrees in Boone, and then 46 over in Hickory. Now and later, you can expect temperatures to reach the lower to the mid-70s as we embark onto the afternoon and start our lunchtime hour. Highs today, warmer than yesterday, to say the least. 10 degrees warmer, 84 degrees, wow, and then 72 degrees around Boone. But we do have a fire danger. It's moderate for the Charlotte area, but it's very high down towards the southeast. Winds can be a little bit stronger there, and it's actually drier conditions as well, and of course, a high up in the mountains as well. And then for the weekend, doesn't really change much, just goes back to a regular high for the Sandhills around Wadesboro, Cheraw, and Rockingham. So do not do any necessary burning if you don't need to, and if you have the charcoal grill that many of you are going to have going, be careful, especially with wind gusts up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour this evening, and then again tomorrow. Both are going to have a really warm blast of air, just like what we had earlier on Monday. Record warmth? Well, we're going to be close. Saturday, April 19th, the record for that day, 89. We're going to be at 88. Close enough, right? Still one of the warmest April 19th, so we're near a record and not too far off on Sunday. However, looking at all the Easter data, looks like this is going to be in the top 10 warmest Easters of all time. Now, our Futurecast data showing that today, mostly sunny. Don't worry about cloud cover. Tomorrow, I think we see more clouds by the afternoon. Still not a bad day. Certainly a lot more clouds, I think, as the sun is setting. That's leading to an increase of clouds overnight heading into Easter morning. Easter morning, some areas will be overcast, others mostly cloudy, and then we'll see some breaks in the clouds. But overall, looks like the clouds are winning out throughout the day. A few breaks here and there, so at times you will see more blue sky. Our rainfall chances, nothing really through Monday. You know, there's a 10%, but that's really just factoring in that maybe there's a shower in the mountains, because this is a POP. This is a percentage of precipitation across our viewing area. So most of us are going to stay dry, but more than half of us are likely seeing rain on Tuesday. And the reason why is because the front sets up. Also, starting to feel more humid as well. The closer that a dew point gets to around 60 degrees, that humid air, we have that settling in by later next week. Coming up, I'm going to have that absolute setup that we can have going forward. Also, where our highs go after this coming weekend. I'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Chris. We are on top of developing news in South Carolina this morning, where one person is dead and several others are recovering after a school bus crash on Interstate 77.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Gervain is live in Chester County this morning. Now, Richard, we don't know the age of the person who died in this crash, but we do know there were about 35 students on board at the time.
Yeah, we can tell you that of those 35, at least 21 of those were taken to the hospital, and some students from other buses were also taken on to the hospital. Let's take a look at some video on this terrible crash that happened on 77 southbound as they were actually coming back from a field trip in the Charlotte area. Highway officials are telling us that basically the crash occurred when the bus returning from a field trip into the Charlotte area actually blew a tire, veering off the road and hit a guardrail. Then it flipped over, overturning. The bus was one of 3 that was traveling southbound on I-77. It was carrying 35 students and 3 adults on board. All were from Pine Ridge Middle School. That's in Lexington, Lexington, South Carolina. South Carolina Highway Patrol confirmed the fatality, though the victim's identity has not been released as of yet. Chester County Emergency Management reported that 21 students from the overturned bus were taken to area hospitals. Dozens more from the other 2 school buses were also taken to the hospitals for evaluations.
Kids out everywhere, their classmates, with blood on them, and some of them, were visibly shaken up, and then even on this other buses, they were shaken up as well.
Yeah, we also heard from one of the students who was on another bus who said that some of the students walked over to his bus and told him what happened. We can tell you that a lot of folks were sending their well wishes, including the governor. He said he and his wife, Peggy, were wishing the folks who were involved in this, the students and their families, their best, praying for them. A lot of folks, sending out a lot of well wishes. Of course, the investigation continues into this crash. On this, especially today, was supposed to be the last day before their spring break. We're right here in Chester. This is Richard Gervain. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Richard. Certainly some tense moments there for those who were on the bus at the time, and then their classmates who actually witnessed it and saw what happened there. I know you'll keep us up to date on that investigation. Thank you. Megan?
Yeah, and one concern we're hearing from many parents is the lack of seatbelts on buses, but are they required in the Carolinas? We wanted to verify that for you this morning. In both North and South Carolina, large buses do not have to have seatbelts. However, there are some exemptions for smaller buses in North Carolina. Officials say school buses are among the safest vehicles on the road because of a passenger safety system called compartmentalization. It's the padding on bus seats that are designed to protect students in a crash. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it's not safe to add belts to old buses, so districts would have to buy new ones. That could cost tens of thousands of dollars. Now, back in 2021, South Carolina lawmakers considered a bill requiring seatbelts on school buses. That measure did not advance. And of course, we will continue to follow this story all day long right here on WCNC and over on WCNC Plus. Some of our first updates on this crash came from over on WCNC Plus. It's the best way to get live breaking updates even when we're not on air. And you never know when we'll break in with new developments. It's free to download on your TV. And right now, a memorial is growing to honor the victims in a deadly shooting at Florida State University. It comes as we learn new details this morning about the suspect. Students now recounting those terrifying moments.
And I see the guy get out, and he has a rifle that he's kind of waving around. And there's another boy next to me, and he kind of lays off a shot, but it seemed pretty specific to that boy. So I thought, okay, well maybe I was still going to run, but I was well, maybe the boy made him mad. Maybe they have some beef or something. But then after he missed that shot, he immediately turned into his car door and grabbed the pistol. And that's when he looked the opposite direction towards the Union and shot just some random lady, walking in front of him in the back. And so then I just started running as fast as I could, and then I could just hear shots echoing as I was running. And he had on a burnt orange shirt that matched his Hummer, and khaki pants or some type of cargo shorts. I don't know, just shorts. He just looked very normal. And the only thing that made him look unnormal was the rifle that he was waving around. That so many students were just and faculty, and I think there was even an event going on that they're just doing, their day-to-day business, and this person just wanted to strike fear into everybody. I think everybody is really tore up.
Authorities identified that suspect as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, a student at the school whose mother is a local sheriff's deputy.
Officials believe he stole her former service weapon to kill 2 people and injure 6 others yesterday. Christina Burgess reports on how students are getting through this traumatic situation.
This is my school. These are my peers, and like, we just got to show out at this point. Like, this is not the time to go to your rooms. This is the time to show people that you're there for them.
With arms wrapped around one another, Florida State University students gather on campus, laying flowers, balloons, and candles near the student union where a gunman opened fire on campus, killing 2 people and injuring 6 others.
And then you hear screams, and then you look out the window, there's people running away. That's when it set in for everyone in the room that, like, this is serious, something really bad just happened. And
many students still reliving the horrific moments, like Christopher Malav, who was inside the student union.
Unfortunately, I ended up tripping on some stairs over there by the big FSU sign, just right in front of the student union, and ended up spraining my left ankle, and got a bunch of bruises on my right leg, and even on my wrist, and my left thumb too. Still got some bumps and bruises.
Malav finally able to reunite with his dad.
It's something that I won't forget, but I know that this is a really tight-knit community. I think this is really gonna bring us together as college students.
As the memorial grows, students say it's important now more than ever to rally around each other.
I would hate for this day to become just another statistic, and I think that we need to do something about this because it's not okay.
But I know we really just have each other, and obviously we'll graduate, and we'll just stay with us for a little bit, or forever probably.
New developments this morning out of Catawba County, where 4 suspects are now in custody after shots were fired at deputies in Newton yesterday. We're told deputies were pulling over a car after calls about suspicious men walking through a neighborhood. Deputies say 18-year-old Xavier Wyatt ran and allegedly shot at law enforcement. We spoke to neighbors in the area who tell us the incident left them uneasy.
Now I went to another route, there's another police car. Went to another route, there's another police car. So we called in for our manager, and they tell us to stay at home until further notice. So they let us know there was a lockdown, so we couldn't go to work this morning.
Deputies took Wyatt into custody after an hours-long search. He is facing several assault charges this morning.
7:12 now. This morning, all 6 suspects in the Lancaster Walmart shooting are in custody. According to police, 3 18-year-olds, 2 19-year-olds, and a 15-year-old are all facing charges. Authorities also tell us that shooting was gang-related. Since the incident, Walmart has taken a noticeable step in helping employees recover. They decided to clear the ammunition aisle in the store. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King was in the city to speak with locals about the decision.
Yeah, I spoke to a Walmart spokesperson briefly over the phone, and she says this move is to ensure employees feel safe. But I also spoke with residents here, and they gave mixed reactions on the change. It's been just over 2 weeks since the city of Lancaster was shaken by a shooting at their local Walmart.
It just was scary because I've never thought something like that would happen in my hometown.
With the community still healing, Walmart has decided to make some changes. In a statement, they told us, quote, "We're offering counseling services to support our associates. Additionally, we have temporarily removed certain products from our store shelves. And those products, guns and ammunition, all gone, at least for now." The change has sparked a debate in the community.
I think that we should have certain ammunition stores, as in that's their name. I don't think that Walmart or maybe even a Target should have that.
I don't think it's right they took out our ammunition now. So, I mean, how we protect ourselves? You can't get ammunition, you can't protect yourself.
I think it's okay for now because you can always go other places to buy more guns.
Walmart says the decision was made to create a more comfortable workplace for employees, but not everyone's convinced.
They was going to do something like that, why they ain't do it before it happened? It's not like they went in and bought the ammunition from Walmart and done it. They were already prepared before they came.
In Lancaster, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
New this morning, there is a new way to stay updated on crime and safety in your neighborhood. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office just launched a free app with real-time alerts, arrest searches, and more. It's available to download right now in your app store. Just search Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office to find it.
This morning, we are still following this backup that has been going on for hours. There is a serious crash in Gastonia around 4:30 this morning, and it has 2 miles of I-85 southbound closed, and then the backups are even further than that north going into the Charlotte area. Thankfully, though, the backup is only about to Lowell, so the best exit to take is the Lowell exit 22, Cramerton Lowell exit. But right now we are just seeing huge backups this morning as folks try to get through to Gastonia and through Gaston County. So looking at the map, Charlotte looking A-OK, looking good. It's really right here in Gaston County that there are issues this morning. So thankfully the backups have not grown astronomically into the Charlotte area. But for folks in Gaston County, the serious accident is around US 321 on I-85 South. The closure is about 2 miles to NC7. And then we also had a new crash within the traffic jam here. It is in the shoulder on I-85 South at Cox Road, so exit 21 there this morning. So it's about into the Lowell area that you'll be backed up. So the best thing to do is avoid I-85 South altogether and take US 74, take Wilkinson, or you can just exit sooner.
Thanks a lot, Destiny. Heading into the weekend, we got a little bit more moisture that's going to be joining us. So what that's going to do is make it feel a tad bit sticky from morning to morning, but still not too bad. Today, super dry, mid-80s, no complaints whatsoever. Gets a little breezy. It's a nice warm breeze out of the southwest. Great day for being outside. It's going to be a mostly sunny to sunny day. If you look really closely off in the distance, what that is that's called atmospheric haze. We actually do have a little bit of smoke in the atmosphere for what's been going on the western side of the Carolinas, with winds out of the west-southwest right now. So that's what you're seeing off in the distance there. 84 degrees for our high, 82 for you in Hickory, and then 72 in Boone. By the way, across the area, this feels more like the first days of June, not April. Yesterday was perfectly mid-April-like. Now we have a June-like to May-like pattern of the next 7 days. Even for our lows, lower 60s here around Charlotte, really today or later on tonight through tomorrow, and then this weekend in general, even a low of 65 degrees on Tuesday. I think we're going to have some really warm lows going forward just because we're going to have a lot more clouds heading into next week. Some clouds tomorrow, not too bad, but look at these temperatures. 88 degrees. By the way, 88 is the warmest temperature we've had so far this year, so we're going to match that for the hottest day of the year so far. Of course, we'll get much hotter a couple months from now, maybe when it's actually June. With temperatures in and out of the southwest, that is going to maximize our warm up, and that's why it's the warmest day of the week, and also potentially a record tying day. If I'm wrong and it's 89, then that would tie the record. 88, though, is close enough, though. The temperatures mainly in the mid to the upper 80s at this point. I think we hit that 88 time frame between about 7 and 8 o'clock. At times, it might be mostly cloudy to partly sunny, but all in all, a nice mix of cloud and sunshine throughout the day. Kind of similar to last Saturday, but last Saturday was about 25 degrees colder. Our sunset also on Saturday evening. This is pretty cool. 8 p.m. We're not going to have one that's before 8 p.m. until August 25th, a testament of the times, and always like to see that. You can do a lot more during the evenings. And your Easter Sunday, I think overall is mostly cloudy. At times you're going to have some bright spots. At times it will look overcast, but great for egg hunts, anything outside. If you're grilling, going to church, from sunrise to sunset, it's going to be fantastic. Just letting you know, the mid-80s feeling a little bit more steamy on this day going forward. The reason why we're so warm right now is because of this ridge, this high-pressure system building in. That's been trapping rain over in this stretch, and it looks like really atmospheric blocking or the atmospheric traffic jam is going to give way for this part of the country, but it could move over us. So right now, I'm not seeing an absolute, hey, this is going to happen, but we have a front that moves through Monday night into Tuesday. So I think we have widespread rain on Tuesday. We take a break. It comes back again late Wednesday heading into Thursday. So this is going to affect our long range forecast, especially with the amount of moisture that's jumping in. So our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, still a lot of uncertainty what's going to happen in the back end. So take advantage of the days we know are going to be great. Dry now through Monday, on and off rain Tuesday, really heading into the following weekend.
Thanks, Chris. Soon, car insurance prices could be going up for everyone. New tariffs aren't just raising the cost of cars. They could soon hit your repairs, insurance, even used vehicles.
New tariffs are about to make driving more expensive, even if you're not buying a new car. Let's connect the dots. President Trump's 25% tariffs on imported vehicles are set to extend to foreign-made auto parts by May 3rd. That means the cost to fix your car could soon jump. Insurance companies are bracing for higher repair costs. In turn, experts say the average car insurance bill could rise more than $300 a year. It's all because most car parts, like tires, engines, and chips, are imported. And even U.S. assembled cars rely on parts from overseas. New car prices are already climbing fast. Now, used cars and even basic repairs could get more expensive too. Insurance hikes are expected to hit states like New York and Florida the hardest, and prices could rise even more if supply shortages get worse. Experts say stay calm and shop smart. Rushing could cost you more. And that's connecting the dots.
Well, the NFL draft is now less than a week away, and the lead up we've been talking to Panthers experts about is the team strategy. In our Impact studio, we spoke to Vashti Hurt and asked her about General Manager Dan Morgan's comments on the plan if the Panthers get stuck picking at 8.
Dan kind of gave it away. He said if we're stuck at 8.
I was going to ask you about that.
Stuck is like, I don't necessarily want to be in this position. And a lot of people, and I tend to agree, there's a lot of parity. Like after those top guys, after those top, let's say 5 or 6 guys, there's kind of a lot of parity from there to the rest of the guys who have a first round grade. So if there's a team who you know is desperate to get a guy, then I would not be mad at the Panthers trading back. You could trade back and still get Walker and get an additional pick in, let's say, the second or third round. So I think that that's what they're looking to do. But, you know, I don't see them trading up. I don't see them trading up.
Yeah, that was an interesting comment when he said, if we get stuck, because then somebody asked him to kind of clarify that. He's like, oh, no, we like where we're at, but we'll be waiting. So I mean, it definitely seemed like he was like sending that signal to 31 other teams, like, we're here for you, just give us a call.
I thought it was a slip up, and maybe he was sending it to other teams. I feel like if I were a GM, I would kind of make it seem like I really wanted that 8th pick. So that way the price would be higher when you started calling my line, instead of I really don't want to pick 8th. And so, you know, we're open for business with that pick. Then now, if I'm a negotiator, I'm saying, well, they really don't want to pick at 8. So what I'm going to offer is now less than what I would have offered if I know that they're desperate or they really have a guy that they have in mind.
Draft next Thursday. We're kicking things off on WCNC Plus with coverage starting at 7 o'clock. We'll be live at Bank of America Stadium and also have insight and analysis from our partners at Locked On. That's all live right here on WCNC Plus.
We are now just 2 days away from Easter, and you may be changing the way that you're celebrating this year as the cost of eggs skyrockets, now just under $6 on average for 1 dozen of eggs.
Yeah, Wallet Hub finds nearly half of all Americans have less egg extravagant plans this year, with 47% planning to skip dyeing eggs due to higher prices. However, 2 alternatives for eggs are going viral. They are marshmallows and potatoes.
Of course, we would never recommend trying something without knowing if it worked ourselves. So earlier this morning, we, right here, tested them. Take a look at this.
We're going to just start this because the potatoes take a little bit longer.
Okay.
So let's maybe do a quick little green to the red.
Oh, you're doing...
We're just gonna do it like that.
Okay, all right. And then the blue?
And then I look forward to the blue potato.
Okay,
That's
all right.
nice.
Let's do the marshmallows.
Here, I'm going to come visit you over the green.
Okay.
This is kind of fun. I enjoy putting marshmallow on a stick around a fire, but never I've done it in dyes before.
I want to eat the marshmallow.
Cute, actually.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That actually is a good idea.
That's gorgeous. Man, okay, Lisa wins the marshmallow off.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, right.
All right, now we're going to check the potatoes. We have toothpicks.
Oh man, I didn't know that. It's too late. I already have green fingers.
Okay.
Oh wow.
That's actually not too bad. What do you say?
Looks like an egg.
I just love how this guy just jumps all in. Forget the toothpick. I'm going to use my fingers.
That's what happens when you don't think before you act. you have a partially green
thumb there.
Yeah, it's like around the nails. I don't know if that's ever going to come back, but at least it's better because I thought I was going to have nubs at the green screen.
Yes.
Fingers. Yeah. Hey, but for the first time in my life, I actually had a green thumb.
Look at that.
So that was good.
Look at you.
No, but I actually want to go on an Easter potato hunt. I think that sounds fun. It's not as rewarding as ones you can open up with chocolate, but
I was going to say, why though?
Because I could say I did it.
Okay, gotcha.
It's an experience.
Okay. All righty then.
Fine, nobody's with me, clearly.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a no. I'll stick to plastic eggs.
Bro.
All right, well, we are going to take a quick break, but you keep it right here in WCNC Plus. We're going to have another update on weather and traffic. Destiny's going to give us an update on that situation on 85. And, of course, we'll have the headlines coming back at 7:30 right here in WCNC Plus.
Good morning. I'm Destiny Richards. It's 7:26 and we are following a serious crash in Gastonia that has I-85 southbound shut down for 2 lanes and then causing major backups in Gaston County. This is a look at the backups this morning. Right now, it's about from where the accident is located. It was around 4:30 this morning around I-85 southbound and US 21. Backed up all the way right now to about Lowell in Gaston County. So this morning, if you are traveling to Gaston County southbound on I-85, you'll be dealing with this issue. The rest of Charlotte's looking great right now, but this is where the problem is localized. So right now, this is what the 2-mile closure looks like, and then the backups all the way past the Cox Road exit, all the way to really close to Lowell. So we do also have an accident that's in the shoulder in this traffic jam in the midst of it. I-85 south at Cox Road. That's at exit 21. Let's send it over to Chris for the weather.
Well, thanks a lot, Destiny. It is going to be a great stretch of warmer weather. We have the mid-80s. That's right, today, near a record on Saturday. It's going to be a very warm eastern in the mid-80s, and after that, still holding on to the warmth on Monday, but our rain chances increase through your Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week, eventually getting cooler into the following weekend. Enjoy your Easter weekend. Great stretch. Feeling more like June. We'll see you in another 30.
Thanks for joining us live here on WCNC Plus at 7:30 on this Friday. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Megan Bragg in for Ben. We're taking a live look at the Capitol right now in Washington, D.C., where President Trump is facing fallout on two fronts, immigration and tariffs. It comes as he locks horns with the head of Federal Reserve. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest for us this morning.
This morning, President Trump's economic and immigration policy both making waves, with the first images of Kilmar Abrego Garcia since his deportation to a notorious prison in El Salvador through what the Trump administration called an administrative error. Meeting here with Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, who traveled to press for his release.
Kilmar has his due process rights.
The White House interpreting a Supreme Court order to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to mean that El Salvador would have to initiate the release. That country's president writing, quote, "Now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody." The Trump administration says Abrego Garcia is part of the violent MS-13 gang, citing Maryland police reports based on an informant who his attorneys and family refute. He has no criminal convictions. President Trump appearing to step back from the issue.
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers.
As he stepped up his sharp criticism of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who he's repeatedly urged to lower interest rates.
I don't think he's doing the job. If I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
That following these comments on Wednesday.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation.
The Federal Reserve is designed to act independently to avoid political pressure, and Chairman Powell, who President Trump once appointed, has said he doesn't have the authority to fire him. The clock now ticking to a new round of tariffs as the president works toward trade deals with world leaders. The Supreme Court agreed to take up another high-profile case next month on President Trump's executive order aimed at restricting birthright citizenship to only apply if at least one parent is a citizen. For now, that policy is blocked nationwide, and the High Court allowed the hold to stay in place. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This morning, we are continuing to follow major backups in Gaston County because of a serious crash around 4:30 this morning. One person in that crash, by the way, taken to Claremont, Maine for their injuries. This is a look at the backups this morning from about Gastonia to Lowell in Gaston County. It's about a 2-mile closure of I-85 southbound lanes. And again, it has been closed for several hours, expected to reopen around 8 o'clock this morning. So hopefully things start to reopen in about 30 minutes. But this is what we're looking at. Thankfully, the backup isn't all the way into the Charlotte area, but definitely going to cause issues for folks who are trying to get through Gaston County or who are in Gaston County. This morning, we're looking at the serious accident that has the lanes closed from about exit 17 to exit 19, so US 321 to NC 7, and then the backups all the way to Lowell. Also have an accident that has the shoulder blocked within this traffic jam. That's at I-85 South at Cox Road. Also going to breeze through a couple of other things. Right now, we have an accident that's completely clear, I-85 South at North Graham Street. No issues there in Northeast Charlotte. Still have an accident reported, however, near Matthews, Sam Newell Road at NC 51. Chris, how's the weather?
I'm so sorry, it's such a busy day, and we are looking at a beautiful sky, so at least as people are in traffic, you can roll the window down if you want to. This is the coldest part of the day, though. Temperatures either side of 50 degrees, depending where you are, but not a cloud in the sky. If you look really closely, you can really see a little atmospheric haze. That's actually some smoke that is now in the atmosphere well off into the distance, so that is going to be, I guess, the only thing really in our skies. Maybe a few upper-level clouds. Right now, 52 in Charlotte, 46 degrees in Concord, 46 Salisbury, and then 43 degrees in Boone. A little bit later on, the Charlotte area will get into the lower 70s to close out the morning, and then the mid 70s to start off noon. Man, this is a great day. I'm super excited. One of those days that just makes you smile. Now, temperatures in the mid 80s. That's a 10-degree upgrade from yesterday, and the fact that I always bring up is that if you're in direct sunshine, you're going to feel at least 10 degrees warmer, so don't overexert yourself. These are the sneaky days that if you go too hard, not used to the heat, that they could get you, especially tomorrow when we're even warmer. But our local fire danger is also a little bit elevated, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those fires here in just a moment. I believe Megan is, because I see her in a box of the preview. We see a high risk for that fire up in the mountains, and then a very very high down to the southeast. This just comes down a little bit for the Sandhills by tomorrow. The main reason why we're under this is because it's so dry, and we also have temperatures that are going to be on the drier side as well, but our winds up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. That's for this afternoon. So breezy as in yesterday, a strong wind out of the southwest and about a 20 to 25 mile per hour gust by tomorrow. That's maximizing our warm up, and that's why we're going to be close to a record tomorrow. Woo! 88 degrees. I know, get out the shorts and jump in the pool if you know somebody. 89 degrees, that's the thing. Many people probably haven't even opened up their pools for the season, but we are surging almost to a record. Also Sunday, 86 degrees, not a record for April 20th, but looking at the Easter data, I'm still combing through it. It looks like this is going to finish around the 6th to 10th range, so within the top 10. A great Easter on the way, mostly cloudy skies, 80 degrees, 86 degrees by the late afternoon. Enjoy it, but beyond that, here comes the rain. We are looking at widespread rain, especially on Tuesday. All of that in your full forecast, diving into the numbers, and I'm also here shortly going to be mentioning a little bit more about how much rain we need to cure this drought, because there was a new update yesterday. Megan?
All right, thank you, Chris. And we're getting new details this morning on the Bee Rock Creek fire burning in McDowell County. The good news is it doesn't appear the fire has grown much in the past 24 hours, and crews are gaining some ground. These are also some new images of that fire. According to the latest update from officials, the fire has burned more than 500 acres and is 10% contained. Another wildfire burning just miles away in Caldwell County is threatening homes this morning. Evacuations are in effect right now in the Kings Creek area as flames grow closer to homes and businesses. That's about 30 minutes north of Hickory. The fire has burned about 70 acres, but is 95% contained as of 11 o'clock last night.
The long-awaited resentencing for Lyle and Eric Menendez is now postponed. Yesterday's hearing came to a halt just hours after attorneys arrived at the courthouse. Robert Kovacic reports on the last-minute decision.
The critical resentencing hearing of the Menendez brothers. Worldwide media in place outside. Spectators hoping to get inside the courtroom through a lottery.
What is your hope moving forward?
My hope is that they're released.
I had parents, and these people killed their parents 35 years ago.
Menendez relatives ready to testify, including Anaria Brown, who did time with Lyle Menendez in prison.
I think it's important for the judge to be aware that they had changed their lives in there, and they did it before any law came into place, before there was any hope.
And then there are the two brothers, Lyle and Eric Menendez, from prison, who were present in court through a video link. But their fight for freedom, once again, postponed.
When we do the resentencing hearing, that we will get Judge Jessic to reduce this to a manslaughter and release them on time served. That's what the goal is here.
The prosecution and the defense feuding over whether the judge should factor in a risk assessment initiated by Governor Newsom to determine the brothers' potential risk to public safety if he were to grant them clemency.
We wanted to make sure that the judge got a copy of that report. It represents additional facts, and the prosecution doesn't fear facts.
District Attorney Nathan Hochman has made it clear the brothers should not be resentenced for the 1989 murders of Kitty and Jose Menendez inside their Beverly Hills home. The defense claims Hochman, who grew up less than a mile from that home, has a personal interest in the case and must be recused.
The family does not want to go through this charade anymore with the DA.
Hochman responding, our office remains committed to ethical and impartial prosecution. We believe the facts will demonstrate that our conduct has been professional, appropriate, and in the interest of justice.
Today was a little bit disappointing for us as a family as we march on.
A warning for parents this morning, especially if your kids are online. A 27-year-old man is in custody this morning after he allegedly kidnapped a 10-year-old girl. Investigators say the two first connected on the popular video game app Roblox. This morning, experts are urging parents to know who your kids are talking to online and what apps they're using, because even in your own living room, kids can still be at risk. And new and expecting parents could be in for some serious sticker shock as President Trump's tariffs begins to take effect. That's because some of the biggest brands in diapers, strollers, and car seats are imported from China. Now, some young families say they're looking for deals and bargains before prices rise, while others are checking out consignment and secondhand shops.
Things are very expensive, and it's not just like baby products, but everything. And so in order to try to make sure we're cutting down on like buying baby goods, we are often finding ourselves going to used stores.
However, there's one thing you shouldn't buy secondhand, and that's car seats. Experts say there are potential risks like hidden damage, expired seats, and recalls.
Well, speaking of babies, this week marks Black Maternal Health Week, a time to highlight America's Black maternal health crisis. That's because Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth.
Yeah, Zing Clay Esamoah brings us the story of one man turning his pain to paintings in an effort to raise awareness.
Lining the halls of Capitol Hill are portraits honoring Black women who have died in childbirth.
These aren't just numbers that we're just throwing out there. These are actual women who are passing away, who are not with their families, who are not able to raise their children.
You're putting a face to them.
Exactly.
These paintings are part of Omari Maynard's life work, spurred by his wife's death. His partner, Shamani Gibson, dying days after childbirth in 2019 due to postpartum complications.
She was healthy, she was good, we were ready, and as soon as her water broke and it was time for us to deliver our baby, things just shifted. But a couple of days after, Shamani started complaining about chest pain, shortness of breath, all the issues that were symptoms and signs of a pulmonary embolism.
Maynard says doctors dismissed her symptoms. Now, instead of raising their children together, he's caring for their 8-year-old daughter and 5-year-old son without her.
Before Shamani passed, I did know about, the Black maternal health epidemic.
You were familiar.
I was familiar, but I also never thought I'd be on this side of the coin. I never felt pain that way. It was a pain that I didn't have language for, so I started painting.
These paintings reflect the scope of the Black maternal mortality crisis in the United States. While overall U.S. maternal mortality rates have fallen below pre-pandemic levels, Black women continue dying at a rate nearly 3.5 times higher than white women around the time of childbirth. And some healthcare providers warn recent changes to the U.S. healthcare system could compound the problem. Earlier this month, the Trump administration began firing thousands of Health and Human Services employees and withheld millions of dollars from family planning services, freezing Title X funds for at least 16 fund grantees, including Converge clinics.
There are many services beyond birth control that Title X provides, and cervical cancer screening and STI prevention and treatment are two of the other core services.
Are you at risk of having clinics shutter entirely?
Yes. Yeah.
Converge operates more than 100 healthcare clinics across Mississippi and Tennessee, the 2 states with the worst maternal mortality rates in the United States. In a letter from the Department of Health and Human Services, the agency said in part it's reviewing whether recipients of Title X funding are in compliance with recent executive orders, including the review of materials pertaining to addressing systemic racism.
The prospect of Title X services going away entirely in these states will only serve to increase the number of women who are at serious risk of maternal mortality.
HHS did not immediately respond to NBC News for comment. As healthcare providers wait for answers on their funding, Maynard hopes his paintings will raise awareness for lawmakers and the country. Each woman's portrait placed in front of the office of a representative of her state as part of the In Her Honor exhibit.
What impact do you hope this has?
For people to see that these are not just numbers, that these are real women, these are real pillars in their own community. And if we can create a system where things can shift, we'll be better off as a society.
So beautiful.
And I can tell you that this is really a serious issue. I actually did a report on this when I was in graduate school and pregnant at the time. And the disparity, it doesn't matter your kind of socioeconomic status. Right. Serena Williams, the great tennis legend, has talked about having trouble during her first pregnancy. I can tell you I had a birth plan. Things did not go as planned, but thankfully I had a very healthy son. So we're thankful for that, of course. But certainly this is an issue that deserves the attention. I'm glad that there is the week of awareness so it spotlights the cause.
Absolutely. And even just in the healthcare space, just going to the doctor, it's important to advocate for yourself.
Oh, you have
even
to.
if you're not having children, especially because those racial disparities are there.
All right. And now you have some good traffic news for us.
Yes, great traffic news. I am hearing that the I-85 closure has reopened, but there are likely probably still some traffic jams, residual traffic jams, but I can already see on the map that red has turned to orange and yellow. Let's zoom in to check it out. Oh, a little bit of red, but thankfully that has cleared. So again, there was a closure here on I-85, the closure from about US 321 to NC 7 here, so this curve, and that is turned from a solid purple line to green, so moving perfectly. But again, the traffic jam was from about NC 7 going north all the way to about Lowell. So as you can see, there's still that orange line, there's still that red, but that's likely about to be easing up soon. So very great news that those lanes have reopened now. So we'll just continue to follow that. But yeah, nothing to worry about there, thankfully. And it's also a beautiful day, according to Chris.
Congratulations that finally cleared.
Thank goodness.
Doing traffic, I know how it is. It's like, nope, still blocked, still blocked.
Right.
So good news for everyone driving in for Destiny and things calming down. But one thing, it's a beautiful day. It's been great. It's been dry. But now we're officially at the status it's too dry.
Yeah.
Not a good situation. So if you have a lawn that is not growing that flush green that you want it to, or you have a lawn that has more weeds than grass like mine, it's not a good situation where you really have to start watering those plants. We're not at a dire level right now. So what you're looking at right now is the U.S. Drought Monitor. This is updated every Thursday. It factors in all the data, all the rain that comes leading up to Tuesday, and then they make the map and publish it on the following Thursday. So this is the most recent update that we have. And you can see right here across our viewing area, seeing Charlotte focused right in that spot, currently under a moderate drought for the time being. And a moderate drought just really means that you're starting to have the browning of the grass. It's not at an alert level at this point, but it's still not a good situation. And the most recent changes that I've seen so far over the last few months is that we did actually have it worse at the beginning of March. Now things have improved a little bit around Raleigh, but what you're seeing is a couple of those red boxes. The moderate drought actually went up, which we have across Charlotte, and also the dryness just in South Carolina came up in general. So I'm going to answer one key question, and I'm breaking it down by different zones. How much rain do we need to cure the drought to even get out of abnormally dry? This is staggering. Now, this is also factoring in the amount of rain that we should see. Like on average, and this is really oversimplifying it, this time of year we need about 3 to 4 inches of rain per month.
Okay.
But to cure it in 1 month for the Charlotte area, we'd actually need 200% of the rain that we need. So double up what we usually have this time of year. So it's a range anywhere from about 6 to 8 inches across our area. To do it in 3 months, this is a little bit more appropriate. We need about 13 inches. So we're kind of in that rough spot that we desperately need the rain,
Yes.
but we don't need it all at once. Because if we do that, we're looking at flooding. So we kind of have to split the difference here. Still not a good situation regardless.
All right, I don't want to put you in the spot, but I do have a question. What are the typical rainiest months in the area?
Okay, the rainiest month is actually August, and
Okay.
the driest period is actually around February. So good news for us is we are heading into a wetter season.
Yes.
It's usually from those typical thunderstorms. Do you know how I feel like it's one point in July and August, you feel like every night that those thunderstorms, they pop up. Sometimes they're pleasant, sometimes they shake the house.
Yes.
Those are the rains that can really cure us. But
Okay.
I want everyone to keep that in mind. If you're planting anything, because now we're at the point past the frost, you gotta water every day to establish that root system. But the good news is we also have more rain coming up next week. So there's some good news overall. And a great weekend. Let's get to your forecast. This is where we're going. You have our pollen forecast is going to be at a high because of the potential winds, but do you know what? We're used to that. But we learned yesterday that the pine pollen officially is coming down. It hit its peak about a week ago. Now we're seeing some other trees like the oak tree, hickory as well, starting to hit their peak. So I think that we're going to see a little bit more of a high to extreme range by next week. Not saying that's much better, but as we close out the month, things are getting significantly better. This is still also the windiest months. So the windiest months of the year are March and April. And you're going to see gusts constantly peaking to around 30 miles per hour, not just today, but also again tomorrow. Check it out. And it's usually the late afternoon. Whenever you get the warmest, it usually creates the biggest temperature gradient. That's the difference that creates a gusty environment. So we will have gusts up to 30 miles per hour possible today and tomorrow. I think today is a little bit more of a 25, tomorrow a little more 30, a little bit lighter winds for your Easter Sunday, only gusting to about 20 miles per hour, and on and off gusts through the middle of next week. But it doesn't feel like April. 84 degrees for a high today actually feels more like June. The upper 80s feels like more of the middle of June or the last days of spring. And then we have the mid 80s Sunday, Monday that are more indicative about June 7th to the 10th. So this isn't where we should be. But bringing up the main fact that we're looking forward to because of the drought status, just to cool things down a little bit, is this. This cold front is going to push into the area, but what's been happening recently is there's been a lot of atmospheric blocking. So essentially that's preventing things from moving on the map. And that's kind of the trend that we're seeing heading into this week. There's not a tremendous amount of moisture, but if the forecast shifts and this front does indeed stall across the Carolinas, we could have some significant rain. There's not enough moisture really to feed it per the most recent update, but this type of scenario means that each and every day, starting on Tuesday, could have a widespread rain to isolated thunderstorms to just a cloudier sky. So that's why I want everyone to take advantage of this warmer weather while we have it, because eventually this heat dome is going to settle its way back down towards the south and east. So our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, the top, a near record-breaking day on Saturday up to 88 degrees. We only cool down to the lower 80s, so we're still holding on to that steam the middle of next week. We should see more 70s, though, by Friday heading into the following weekend.
Well, listen to this. A new pill could be on the market soon that can extend your dog's life.
After 1 year of a groundbreaking clinical trial, that pill just cleared a major FDA hurdle. NBC's Sam Brock has a closer look at how it works.
For John Young and his 10-year-old dog Reggie, there's no illusion the Spaniel Collie mix will live forever, but a longer, healthier life with a pill a day would mean everything.
He's been my co-pilot. He's been with me every step of the way. He's my best friend.
Young is one of more than 1,000 dog owners participating in a first-of-its-kind clinical trial at more than 70 facilities around the country, spearheaded by a Bay Area biotech company, Loyal.
We're going to be following these dogs for over 5 years.
Founder Celine Haliwa carries a clear mission.
I think we're working on one of the most fundamental and touching problems that most people have felt in their life, right? Everyone has felt the pain of losing an animal.
But I guess the expectation would be, you don't think you're going to add more than 5 years to an animal's life? Like when they hear this,
no.
They think, oh, my dog is going to live forever.
Immortal dogs.
Yes.
No, this is not immortal dogs. I'm sorry to disappoint everyone. We're going for one healthier year of dog life. Hopefully more, maybe less, but one healthier year is kind of where we've drawn the line.
After 1 year of the trial, the FDA gave it a stamp of reasonable expectation of effectiveness, the first for a longevity drug. That gives hope to longtime vets like Dr. Sam Geller in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, whose clinic is helping with the trial.
Do you think that this has the potential to be a game changer?
That would be what everyone is hoping, because if you can find something that is going to prolong the life of your loved one, who would not want to have that happen? Who would not want to be involved?
Loyal is looking to improve metabolic fitness, which Haliwa says historically has impacted bigger dogs more severely.
Will it help larger dogs more?
It's hard to know. There's more to achieve with larger dogs because they have such an artificially short lifespan. But I think it can also really benefit a smaller breed dog too, who perhaps is less naturally metabolically healthy.
For now, the trial is only for dogs that are at least 10 years old and a certain size.
The minimum weight to participate is 14 pounds because dosing is so much harder for really small dogs. So these two are out for now, but that could change over time.
In the meantime, owners like John don't know if their dog is on the real drug or a placebo beef pill, but he's okay with being a part of history either way.
If you were to tell me, hey, he's getting the placebo, I would be shocked. Yeah.
Just because it feels like you're seeing changes in his behavior.
I am, yeah, I really am.
Hope on the horizon for man's best friend.
Sam Brock, I mean, who doesn't want to extend their dog's life, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like it's making a better life, too, because it said, I'm not sure if it's a placebo beef pill. Never said that before, by the way. But the dog feels better. So I think that's awesome. So I'm for it. Romeo's not old enough.
Yeah, you said your dog is 7?
7, yep.
Okay. And what about your dog?
My dog is going to be 1 on Sunday.
Oh, you don't have to worry about this for a long time.
So it's very exciting.
That's fun.
Do you have any dogs?
I had a dog back home in Texas from about 2010 to 2021. She died that year.
Okay.
But
Hey, anytime I think they make it to 10 plus, especially if it's a bigger dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And as long as you give him all the cuddles in the world, Romeo's spoiled that he needs a blanket now. I blame you, Kim, by the way. It's not a bad thing.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right now, but you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another update on the weather and traffic, and then Megan and I will have the headlines coming up at 8 o'clock.
Good morning, everyone. It is 7:56, and I have great news for folks who are following along on that crash that was in Gaston County this morning. All lanes of I-85 southbound are now open. We're seeing a whole lot of green this morning. So this was where the closure was, about I-85 southbound at US 321 to NC 7. It is completely green and clear this morning, and the backup has started to clear as well. There was an accident here that is still technically on the map for the shoulder at I-85 south at Cox Road. That is likely going to be clearing up soon because no backups on I-85. I love it. I love the green. Now let's check in with Chris on the weather this morning.
I love the green, and in this case, love the orange. Look at that, 84 degrees today. That's 10 degrees warmer than what we had yesterday. Huzzah! Enjoy it, everybody. Tonight, temperatures also mild for our lows, down to 60 degrees. Tomorrow, 88. By the way, that is going to be 1 degree off from a record, so a near record-breaking day, or at least tying day. 86 degrees on Sunday, and of course, Sunday has a special name. It's Easter. Mid-80s will be one of the warmest Easters in Charlotte history, at least in the top 10. 85 degrees still on Monday. As for our next rain chances, we are anticipating more showers and storms through the middle of next week as we have an unsettled pattern starting to set up. Hey, the fun hasn't ended. Join us on WCNC Plus right now. Download if you haven't.
Thanks for joining us live here on WCNC Plus at 8 o'clock. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Megan Bragan for Ben. We are on top of developing news in Chester County this morning, where one person is dead and several others are recovering after a school bus crash on Interstate 77.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live in Chester County this morning. Now, Richard, we still don't know the age of the victim who died in this crash, but we know that there were about 35 students on that bus at the time of the crash.
Yeah, that's correct, Lisa. Good morning to you. Good morning, Megan. Good Friday morning, everyone joining us on the Plus. We just want to say that while we don't know the age, we also don't know the identity of that victim. And we do know that a number of students who were on board that bus, 21 to be exact, also went to the hospital. Some students from the other buses also went to the hospital for evaluations. Now, as we take a look at video, this is the scene yesterday after that terrible tragedy that happened right here in Chester County, right off of I-77, that bus crash involving those students who were on that field trip. They were returning from that field trip in Charlotte when a tire blew, causing that bus to veer off the road. It hit a guardrail, then it flipped over. The bus was one of 3 buses that were traveling southbound on I-77, and the particular bus that crashed was carrying 35 students. It also had 3 adults on board. All were from Pine Ridge Middle School in Lexington. South Carolina Highway Patrol confirmed the fatality of the individual, though the victim's identity has not yet been released. Chester County Emergency Management reported 21 students from the overturned bus were taken to the area hospitals, including dozens from the other 2 buses who were also taken to area hospitals and evaluated. We actually spoke to a parent who came to the scene right after that bus crash.
Kids out everywhere, their classmates, with blood on them, and some of them, were visibly shaken up, and then even on this other buses, they were shaken up as well.
Yeah, that bus was about an hour from returning to Lexington, where parents were waiting to get their children. Instead, they heard of the crash, many of them racing up the interstate to pick up their students. Of course, this today was supposed to be the last day before some of those students were to go on their spring break. The entire community, including in the state of South Carolina, Governor McMaster and his wife, all extending their warm thoughts to them, their condolences to the victims involved, and hoping that everyone will be able to heal from this incident. There is an ongoing investigation, and any updates we get, of course, we'll bring them to you as well. That's the story for now, right here in Chester County. This is Richard Devane. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Richard. One concern we're hearing from many parents is a lack of seatbelts on buses, but are they required in the Carolinas? We wanted to verify that for you this morning. In both North and South Carolina, large buses do not have to have seatbelts. However, there are exemptions for smaller buses in North Carolina. Officials say school buses are among the safest vehicles on the road because of a passenger safety system called compartmentalization. It's the padding on a bus seats that are designed to protect students in a crash. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it's not safe to add belts to old buses, so districts would have to buy new ones. That could cost tens of thousands of dollars. Back in 2021, South Carolina lawmakers considered a bill requiring seatbelts on school buses. That measure did not advance. We will continue, of course, to follow this story all day long right here on WCNC and over on WCNC Plus. Some of our first updates on this crash came over on WCNC Plus. It's, of course, the best way to get live breaking updates, even when we're not on air, and you never know when we'll break in with new developments. It's free to download on your TV.
Well, good day, everybody. Who's ready for some warmer weather? I'm talking about kids running through sprinklers because they can always tolerate temperatures better than adults. But some might be wanting to jump in the pool, hang out by the lake. This is feeling like June, people, so do June-like things. Look at that sun shining across our skies. This is what you can expect throughout the day. A little bit of atmospheric haze that's in the atmosphere from those fires off towards the west. Up to 54 degrees, though, around Charlotte. So we bottomed out in the lower 50s. 50 degrees now back in action around Gastonia, Hickory. You're warming up to hurry up to 50 degrees. It's at this point that we have that upper trajectory zooming up through the 60s. We're into the lower 70s by 11 a.m. And then, yes, the mid-70s by 1 p.m. Yesterday's high, 74. We're already at that temperature by noon. Highs today, 84 degrees. A delightful day. Get outside and enjoy. One thing I love about today is oftentimes the 80s can be accompanied, especially in May, by a muggy air. That is not going to be the case. It is really not going to be humid all that much over the coming days. I think we have a slight uptick about how we feel over the next few. Check it out. This is our muggy meter. Anytime you have a value in the 40s or 50s, that doesn't feel bad. It's actually quite pleasant. Once it gets a little bit closer to that 60-degree point, we have that for your Saturday morning. You will have a little bit of stickiness, but still really not too bad. Looking at that extended forecast for our dew points, this is always kind of a good measure about how you're going to feel. It's later on in the week that we're going to see a significant change, so keep that in mind. Now let's talk about this weekend. So this weekend starts off in the lower 60s, 88 degrees on Saturday. That could be a record-tying day, one of the warmest April 19th in Charlotte history, and then the mid-80s. This, of course, is Easter. Well, it's one of the warmest Easters in Easter history, and then our record keeping goes back to 1879. Digging through the data, it looks like this is going to be finishing between about 6th and 10th for the warmest on record. Now, the only difference between the days is that I think we're expecting more clouds heading into your Easter compared to more of the mix of clouds and sunshine on Saturday. I'm going to label Saturday as a partly cloudy to partly sunny day with more clouds later in the day. Sunday, a little bit mostly cloudy with some bright spots. We have that 88, close to 89 for the record. Not getting a record on Sunday, nor for the warmest Easter on record. That would have to be an 89-degree high. A little bit more details what you can expect for your Easter Sunday when many are going to church or the kids might be hunting for eggs. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 60s. This is really a better time for around 9 o'clock, depending whatever you're doing in the morning. Your Easter lunch, 80 degrees. A lot of people I've been hearing might be grilling outside, maybe grilling that ham. That sounds like a great time. I think you actually have a better chance for a little bit more sunshine once you get to the end of the day. Still temperatures in the mid 80s, but don't be disappointed at times. It does look a little bit more overcast for your Easter. Now, what about our rainfall chances? Our rainfall chances holding off the weekend. You don't have to worry about it. Monday, if you have any plans, I think you're good. But I'm going to show you a detailed look at our futurecast showing the setup that's happening. This is not necessarily a cause of concern yet, but we could have a lot of rain or at least just a dreary sky. I'll tell you those changes coming up here shortly. But in the meantime, let's check in with Destiny, who has had the busiest morning here at WCNC, but it looks like it's getting a little bit better.
It is getting a little bit better. If we look here at the full map, you can see that we're seeing mostly green on our highways this morning. Love to see it, especially at 8 o'clock. We were following a serious crash in Gaston County that left one person with injuries, one person taken to the hospital with injuries. It also closed 2 lanes of traffic on I-85 southbound. That has since reopened. That is clear. So not even seeing a backup this morning. And there was also another crash that showed up a little bit later around 6:30 in the shoulder near I-85 southbound at Cox Road. That has cleared now too. So no issues for folks traveling in Gaston County. Just a little bit of congestion here on US 321 headed northbound, but that's about it. Going into the Charlotte area now, we are following an accident, a very recent one. This is John Belk Freeway outer loop at South Clarkston Street, so near Uptown. This is in the left lane, so left lane is blocked, but I am seeing that this accident is now clearing. But as you can see, just a little bit of a backup there near I-277 and I-77. Just near Uptown. Now, doing a little look at our travel times at 8 o'clock this morning, this is what you need to know.
Well, right now, a memorial is growing to honor the victims in a deadly shooting at Florida State University. It comes as we learn new details this morning about the suspect. Students now recounting those terrifying moments.
And I see the guy like get out and he has like a rifle that he's kind of waving around. And there's like another boy next to me and he kind of like lays off a shot, but it seemed pretty specific to that boy. So I thought, okay, well maybe like, I was still gonna run, but I was like, well maybe the boy made him mad. Maybe like, you know, like they have some beef or something. But then after he missed that shot, he immediately turned into his car door and grabbed the pistol. And that's when he looked the opposite direction towards the Union and shot just some random lady like walking in front of him in the back. And so then I just started running as fast as I could. And then I could just hear like shots echoing as I was running. And he had on like a burnt orange shirt that matched his Hummer. And like the just like khaki pants or some type of cargo shorts. I don't know, just shorts. Like he just looked very normal. And the only thing that made him look unnormal was the rifle that he was waving around. That so many students were just like, and faculty, and I think there was even an event going on that they're just doing, their day-to-day business, and this person just wanted to strike fear into everybody. I think everybody is really tore up.
Authorities have identified that suspect as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, a student at the school whose mother is a local sheriff's deputy.
Officials believe he stole her service weapon to kill 2 people and injure 6 others yesterday. Christina Burgess reports on how students are getting through this tragic situation.
Yeah, this is my school. These are my peers, and like, we just got to show out at this point. Like, this is not the time to go to your rooms. This is the time to show people that you're there for them.
With arms wrapped around one another, Florida State University students gather on campus, laying flowers, balloons, and candles near the student union where a gunman opened fire on campus, killing 2 people and injuring 6 others.
And then you hear screams, and then you look out the window, there's people running away. That's when it set in for everyone in the room that, like, this is serious, something really bad just happened. And
many students still reliving the horrific moments, like Christopher Malav, who was inside the student union.
Unfortunately, I ended up tripping on some stairs over there by the big FSU sign, just right in front of the student union, and ended up spraining my left ankle, and got a bunch of bruises on my right leg, and even on my wrist, and my left thumb too. Still got some bumps and bruises.
Malav finally able to reunite with his dad.
It's something that I won't forget, but I know that this is a really tight-knit community. I think this is really gonna bring us together as college students.
As the memorial grows, students say it's important now more than ever to rally around each other.
I would hate for this day to become just another statistic, and I think that we need to do something about this because it's not okay.
But I know we really just have each other, and obviously we'll graduate, and we'll just stay with us for a little bit, or forever probably.
Christina Burgess with that report. There's such a truly unfortunate, tragic situation there. And the 2 who were killed, we should say, were not students at the university.
Yeah, and I went to Florida State University, and that area is very busy. So the Union, they have like the typical green where you see college kids playing ultimate frisbee and all that stuff. I used to get my favorite hot dog cart right there. And the only reason why I'm painting this imagery is like the amount of people that are going in and out. There's a bookstore that's right there. That the amount of people that were shot by random fires around, it could have been a whole lot worse, just how busy it was. And I'm still like the Florida State Facebook page. I got a notification actually from Facebook saying there's an active shooter. So that was kind of harrowing, even though I'm multiple years removed, just seeing what they're going through, because I think it was about a decade ago or so. I think it was closer to 8 years that there was actually a shooter at the library. Nobody was hurt at that point. So you just hate to hear it. No matter what, whenever even though you're not involved, just seeing those students, what they went through, because they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. So a tragic loss of those 2 individuals, and then everyone that gets shot in the passerby.
For sure. Thank you for adding that perspective.
Of course.
Well, new developments this morning out of Catawba County, where 4 suspects are now in custody after shots were fired at deputies in Newton yesterday. We're told deputies were pulling over a car after calls about suspicious men walking through a neighborhood. Deputies say 18-year-old Xavier Wyatt ran and allegedly shot a law enforcement. We spoke to neighbors in the area who tell us the incident left them uneasy.
Now I went to another route, there's another police car. Went to another route, there's another police car. So we called in for our manager, and they tell us to stay at home until further notice. So they let us know there was a lockdown, so we couldn't go to work this morning.
Deputies took Wyatt into custody after an hours-long search. He is facing several assault charges this morning.
8:14 now. This morning, all 6 suspects in the Lancaster Walmart shooting are in custody. According to police, 3 18-year-olds, 2 19-year-olds, and a 15-year-old are all facing charges. Authorities also tell us that shooting was gang-related. Now, since the incident, Walmart has taken a noticeable step in helping employees recover. They've decided to clear the ammunition aisle in the store. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King was in the city to speak with locals about the decision.
Yeah, I spoke to a Walmart spokesperson briefly over the phone, and she says this move is to ensure employees feel safe. But I also spoke with residents here, and they gave mixed reactions on the change. It's been just over 2 weeks since the city of Lancaster was shaken by a shooting at their local Walmart.
It just was scary because I've never thought like something like that would happen in my hometown.
With the community still healing, Walmart has decided to make some changes. In a statement, they told us, quote, "We're offering counseling services to support our associates. Additionally, we have temporarily removed certain products from our store shelves. And those products, guns and ammunition, all gone, at least for now." The change has sparked a debate in the community.
I think that we should have certain ammunition stores, as in that's their name. I don't think that Walmart or maybe even a Target should have that.
I don't think it's right they took out our ammunition now. So, I mean, how we protect ourselves? You can't get ammunition, you can't protect yourself.
I think it's okay for now because you can always go to places to buy more guns.
Walmart says the decision was made to create a more comfortable workplace for employees, but not everyone's convinced.
They was going to do something like that, why they ain't do it before it happened? It's not like they went in and bought the ammunition from Walmart and done it. They were already prepared before they came.
In Lancaster, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
New this morning, there is a new way to stay updated on crime and safety in your neighborhood. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office just launched a free app with real-time alerts, arrest searches, and more. It's available to download right now in your app store. Just search Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office to find it.
Well, good day, everybody. The traffic is getting a little bit better. We'll hear from Destiny on that here shortly. But then we also have beautiful blue skies. But I have to point something out. So this was in the forecast that there was a slight chance for a little bit of haze. You are literally looking at some of the smoke that's coming from the fires that are over McDowell, close to Caldwell County as well. And that is just up in the atmosphere. So we are going to see some atmospheric haze. Other than that, we're looking at a beautiful sky, beautiful blues across the day, and a 10-degree upgrade. Yesterday, 74 was the high, and guess what? That's where we should be. And then we're like, no. We do not want to be like April. We're going to be more like early June, and that's where you expect an 84-degree high typically. We're going to reach 80 degrees by 3, end it at 7, everything in between in this chart reaching that range of 81 to 84 degrees, so we're feeling it. As far as the winds go, it's also a breezier day today compared to what we had yesterday. Expect on and off gusts to 25 plus today and tomorrow, and that strong wind out of the southwest is the reason why we are going to be so warm. So today, mostly sunny skies, more clouds tomorrow, I think primarily in the afternoon. So I like to call these days a mix of cloud and sunshine. At times it could be sunnier, at times it could be cloudier. We kind of had that last Saturday, but last Saturday we only had a high of 60 degrees, so that's a big difference. And then for your Easter Sunday, I think overall it's a mostly cloudy day, so more clouds and sunshine, but great weather-wise. Winds are a little bit lighter as well. But this doesn't feel like this time of year, as I mentioned. So when does it feel like? So June 1st to June 18th. That's our general range over the next 4 days, where it's typically the beginning of June. We have the mid to the upper 80s before the beginning of summer, where we average 90 to 91 into July. So this isn't usual, but when are we going to return back to normal? Well, we don't. It's this time of the year that we usually get to enjoy the mid 70s, that through this stretch, we go from an average high of 74 to 77. Now, this isn't great if your favorite temperature range is the mid 70s. So we're all trending above normal. Now, this could drop down into the 70s if we get enough rain cooled air, because notice these temperatures mainly hovering across the 60s, 60 to 65, so very warm mornings, but the rain upticks. And the more rain that we have really elevates our lows, but sometimes it can suppress us from getting any sunshine, which will cool down those highs. So we'll see where that goes. But the next big rain chance is not Monday. I think it's Monday night and Tuesday that we see the arrival of this front, but then it starts to drape across the area. The biggest question that we have in the long range is how much moisture is going to feed this. Whenever you have a front that stalls across an area like this, if there's enough moisture, it can lead to some flooding concerns. As of right now, it looks to be pretty low rain chances, but it's going to be an unsettled weather pattern. Expect more clouds and sunshine and a rain and thunderstorm chance each and every day starting Tuesday heading into next week. So enjoy the days to come. Friday through Monday are the best days of the week. Today's the sunniest day that we actually have over the next 7. Now next we have Destiny with traffic, who is breathing a sigh of relief after a very busy start to the day.
I definitely am. Let's look at a beautiful shot on I-77 over Lake Norman this morning near the Mecklenburg-Iredell County line. And this morning, if you're traveling for Easter weekend or you have a beautiful time on the lake ahead, just make sure to practice safety. Honestly, if this morning of traffic was not a sign for you to drive safely, it definitely should be this morning. We were talking about that crash on I-85 southbound that had lanes shut down. If you're just joining us this morning on WCNC Plus, we do not have to worry about that anymore. All lanes of I-85 southbound have reopened in Gaston County. Just a little bit of congestion that we're seeing in Gastonia going north on US 321 there. But other than that, things are looking super good. We do have one crash that we're still following a little bit, but things look better already. Left lane blocked on John Belk Freeway at South Clarkston Street. Right now, it looks like it has cleared. It's most likely cleared because we are seeing mostly green in this area. There were a little bit of backup. So things looking good on the traffic map this morning. Just drive safely wherever you're headed.
Thanks, Destiny. 8:20 now. Text scams are back in the spotlight as officials see more reports of people falling victim. Many of us get those unwanted text messages from companies, politicians, and organizations. But sometimes we get a job offer in a text, and this can be especially confusing for those who are looking for new opportunities. Megan, you verified how to know if an offer is too good to be true.
Yeah, and Lisa, I've gotten a few of these texts sent to my phone offering a part-time job that will get you $2,000 or more per week. Seems like a great gig, but think again. To verify if this was a scam, we went to the Federal Trade Commission and Juliana Rourke with the Charlotte Better Business Bureau.
Job that seems too good to be true.
Anytime you get an unsolicited text message, that's kind of a red flag.
It's text messages like these that promise a part-time job that's remote, leaving you with loads of money and your own schedule. All you have to do is message them or click on a link.
Most companies also aren't just going to text you. They're going to send you an email. They're probably going to call you.
The Federal Trade Commission states the text is trying to get some personal or financial information. They say don't click on any links if it's an unexpected text, do your research online for the name of the company, and block unwanted texts.
Definitely look to see where it's coming from. Is it a phone number? Is it some weird email address?
Now, if you are looking for a job, there are safe sites. We have a link of those on our mobile app. And if you want something verified, you can just email me at verify@wcnc.com.
Wedding season is almost here, and this summer you may notice a new trend with wedding dresses. More brides are saying I do to vintage dresses. Instead of buying a new dress, many are choosing secondhand gowns, looking for unique styles, better quality, and a smaller price tag. Experts say social media has made modern dresses feel overexposed, which is pushing brides to seek out one-of-a-kind vintage pieces.
That's really cool.
I see the appeal in that for sure, because you always want it to be different because there's so much focus on the dress.
Right.
Why not do something different and save some money?
And save some money, and maybe your daughter will use your dress.
I'm hoping that she will. I'm really hoping. She's probably like, not happening, but here's hoping, right? Okay, check this out. Call. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson surprised a terminally ill fan with a heartfelt video tribute, and it's sparking viral support worldwide. Here's Morgan Wolf.
Kane and Dennis are twins.
Two babies, one difference.
He had a condition called heterotaxy syndrome. It messes up a lot of your internal organs.
The Bolin family learned to take life day by day.
Kane was born with a bad heart, and we kind of just dealt with that his whole life.
One pacemaker and a dozen hospital visits later, Kane and his twin brother, Dennis, were happy, normal kids who, like most, loved the movie Moana.
Kane's favorite was Maui. Really liked to sing along. He watched the movie like 3 times, and he knew all the words.
Even dressing up as him for Halloween.
In the movie, he has a magical fish hook, which is this. And Kane actually carried this everywhere with him.
Then Kane's spark,
serious code,
started to fade last month.
91 minutes of CPR, and then he never really fully recovered from that one.
Before one final risky attempt by doctors to save his life,
Kane,
they got a call.
This is The Rock. I'm also known as Maui from Moana. Hey, Charlie.
Hi.
Christine, how you guys
Thank you
doing?
so much.
Oh, I'm so happy to do this. It's so good to finally meet you, buddy.
I got to sing with him.
All right, Kane, This is for you, buddy.
Smiled while we were singing.
Gonna sing "You're Welcome" for you. And the video
Okay.
went viral.
I see what's happening, yeah. You're face to face with greatness and it's strange.
It's hard to think about that day, but I'm also grateful that we have that memory and that it was so special to see how happy he was, and despite all of his struggles.
Showing people sometimes our strengths lie beneath the surface.
I was very appreciative that they put that tribute out, but I couldn't have imagined the response that it was going to get.
What can I say except
you're welcome?
Glad you got that special moment. We're going to take a quick break right now, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another update on weather and traffic and the news headlines back at 8:30.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very warm day, a 10-degree upgrade compared to what we had yesterday. We have the mid-80s, 84 degrees, 85 down near Charlotte and Lancaster, and then 72, still fine and dandy up in the high country. Tonight, not that chilly. Even the mountains are only dropping down to around 50. That means the rest of us really around that 60-degree point. Forecast tomorrow, we are reaching the upper 80s. By the way, the warmest we've been so far this year, 88 degrees. We're going to match that, and 89 is the record for that day in climatology. Both today and tomorrow will be breezy with wind gusts up to about 25 miles per hour or so. As we're working our way through the weekend, I think we see a few more clouds on Saturday, but then turning mostly cloudy for much of your Easter. Still a great day, feeling great. Mid-80s on Monday with rain chances starting to increase starting Monday night heading into Tuesday. So I think we have on and off showers, even some thunderstorms on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So our rain chances finally return, but at least we have a nice dry pattern with a pleasant weekend just in time for Easter weekend. Destiny's been very busy, but things are looking up. Here's your traffic report.
Things are looking good. We have an image over I-77 on Lake Norman this morning at the Mecklenburg-Iredell County line. It is frozen, but traffic is moving just nicely, and that is reflected across the map here. If you're traveling for Easter, if you are going out on the lake, be safe on the water, be safe on the roads this weekend. We have completely cleared traffic on I-85 southbound. That crash that was causing problems this morning, completely clear, as well as an accident that was on I-277 this morning near Uptown. Completely clear.
Thank you for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Megan Bragg, in for Ben.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We start with that heartbreaking news out of Chester County this morning, where one person is dead and several others are recovering after a school bus crash on Interstate 77. Here is what we know this morning. That bus was carrying students from the Lexington 2 school district. It was returning from a field trip outside of Charlotte. The bus crashed after a tire blew and the driver lost control, causing it to flip onto a guardrail. About 35 students and 2 adults were on board at the time. Several students were trapped inside that bus at one point. As of this morning, we are still working to learn the age of the victim who died in that crash.
Reporter Shelly Garzone spoke to parents picking up their children after the crash, as well as kids who watched the crash all happen.
I just heard everybody start screaming and stuff, and I looked up and I saw the bus flipped over.
Wesley Willis witnessed the bus crash on I-77.
People who were somewhat okay that were on the flipped bus had came over to our bus to sit and stuff, and then we asked them what happened. They ended up telling us.
Highway Patrol says the bus went off the right side of the road, hit a guardrail, and overturned. A number of students were trapped inside the bus, leading to massive emergency response from multiple agencies. The school district later announced that about 35 students and 4 adults, including a few people from the other 2 buses, were taken for medical evaluation after those buses attempted to maneuver to avoid the crash. Parents like Ashanti Thames tell me they were one of the first ones on the scene.
There were kids out everywhere, their classmates, with blood on them, and some of them, were visibly shaken up, and then even on this other buses, they were shaken up as well.
Both I-77 north and south were closed, which made it difficult for parents like Tiffany Porterfield to get to her son.
District moving forward does everything they can to ensure that our students are safe. I felt like they did do a good job. They got an email out pretty quickly. There wasn't much information, but I think they just didn't have much to give us at that time.
According to the South Carolina Highway Patrol, one person who was on the bus is dead. At this time, the department is continuing to investigate this crash. Reporting in Fairfield County, Shelly Garzone, WCNC, Charlotte.
And of course, we'll continue to follow this story all day long right here on WCNC and over on WCNC Plus. Some of our first updates on this crash came over on WCNC Plus. It's the best way to get live breaking updates even when we're not on air. And you never know when we'll break in with new developments. It's free to download on your TV.
Let's get right to it. Here is a look at our Dallas camera. Oh, I'm loving today. We have mostly sunny skies. At times you might even see nothing but blue skies. It looks a little hazy off in the distance. That is the atmospheric haze from smoke particles, as we know it's going off on the western side of the Carolinas. It's pretty low, but we're actually going to see a little bit more haze going on a little bit later on today, heading into the evening. And then as we work our way through your Saturday, we'll see on and off pulses of this. So all this really means is that sometimes a blue sky looks a little bit more white, especially in the late afternoon, and that can also be enhanced with the heat of the day. And then I think we have an even bigger pulse late Saturday heading into Sunday. So it doesn't really affect us too much. However, sometimes you can actually have the smoke particles that induce rain. Now, let me explain real quickly without going too deep into the weeds. It's called condensation nuclei, that simply just water droplets can attach onto the smoke particles, which can enhance the rainfall. Not the case for today because we don't have a wet enough environment, but I am letting you know that maybe you want to take it easy if you want to do any burning, just because it's going to be breezy, gusts up to about 25 miles per hour, especially a very high fire danger down towards the southeast. Move it back to just a high level, just as the mountains are over the next couple of days. And the Charlotte area, all in all, just a moderate level of, hey, don't burn. Today, high temperatures in the mid 80s, high UV indexes we can get used to with mostly sunny skies, just a little bit of haze, and really pleasant up in the mountains, lower to the mid 70s depending where you are. This weekend though, wow, 88 degrees is the warmest we've been so far, and then 89 is the record. So a near record tying day on Saturday, one of the warmest Easters on record. So looking back at a record since 1900, this looks like it would be around the 7th warmest Easter on record. If that does verify, the warmest is actually 89 degrees. Still coming through the day, there's a lot to go through because I have to pick certain dates. But looking at our futurecast, there's on and off clouds, but you notice the clouds get the thickest as they work our way into Easter and Monday. So what I'm really calling for is a gradual increase of clouds throughout the weekend. I think it's primarily going to be maybe a partly cloudy to a partly sunny day tomorrow. Starting off a little bit more sunshine, clouds start to build, and all in all, a mostly cloudy day for your Easter Sunday. Here's a look at the winds. Winds gusting at about 20 to 25 today. Through the day tomorrow, about a 20 to 25 mile per hour gust. And then heading into the weekend, or the Easter Sunday rather, you are expecting the winds to be a little bit calmer. Sunday not going to break a record, but at least within 5 degrees of it. And as I already mentioned, one of the warmest Easters on record. Last Easter was actually 84 degrees, so kind of comparable to that, if you can remember that far back. I can't. Our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, Monday dry, but I think we're going to see a thickening cloud deck as we work our way towards your Monday night. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This is a really unique forecast because Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday all have chances for rain, but we literally could have a cloudy sky, a random thunderstorm. It could rain for hours all across the middle of the week heading into the weekend. So it's a really unsettled pattern. I just want you to anticipate maybe you want to bring the umbrella with you each day starting on Tuesday through next week. Now let's hit the roads with Destiny. I'm so happy that big incident's gone for you.
It is. Things are looking really good right now. This is a live look at I-77 in South Charlotte. Just before that Woodlawn Road, Billy Graham Parkway exit this morning. Traffic is moving really nicely all across the map. So great news for folks who may be traveling this morning, or maybe you are going to work. It's a very nice morning commute as of 8 o'clock. That is when that crash that had closed lanes on I-85 southbound in Gaston County reopened about 30 minutes ago. And so we're not dealing with any closures or any backups in this area. One person, however, in that crash taken to the hospital for their injuries. Right now, our newest crash is in South Charlotte, South Tryon Street at Tyvola Center Drive. This is north of Shopton Road. So that's all we're looking at right now. In terms of your drive times into the Charlotte area, here's what you need to know.
Well, we're getting new details this morning on the Bee Rock Creek fire burning in McDowell County. The good news is that it doesn't appear the fire has grown much in the past 24 hours, and crews are gaining some ground. These are also some new images of that fire. According to the latest update from officials, the fire has burned more than 500 acres and is 10% contained. Another wildfire burning just miles away in Caldwell County is threatening homes this morning. Evacuations are in effect right now in the Kings Creek area as flames grow closer to homes and businesses. That's about 30 minutes north of Hickory. The fire has burned about 70 acres but is 95% contained as of 11 o'clock last night.
Taking a live look right now at the White House, where President Trump is facing fallout on two fronts, immigration and tariffs.
It comes as he locks horns with the head of the Federal Reserve. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest for us this morning.
This morning, President Trump's economic and immigration policy both making waves, with the first images of Kilmar Abrego Garcia since his deportation to a notorious prison in El Salvador through what the Trump administration called an administrative error. Meeting here with Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, who traveled to press for his release.
Kilmar has his due process rights.
The White House interpreting a Supreme Court order to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to mean that El Salvador would have to initiate the release. That country's president writing, quote, "Now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody." The Trump administration says Abrego Garcia is part of the violent MS-13 gang, citing Maryland police reports based on an informant who his attorneys and family refute. He has no criminal convictions. President Trump appearing to step back from the issue.
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers.
As he stepped up his sharp criticism of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who he's repeatedly urged to lower interest rates.
I don't think he's doing the job. If I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
That following these comments on Wednesday.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation.
The Federal Reserve is designed to act independently to avoid political pressure, and Chairman Powell, who President Trump once appointed, has said he doesn't have the authority to fire him. The clock now ticking to a new round of tariffs as the president works toward trade deals with world leaders. The Supreme Court agreed to take up another high-profile case next month on President Trump's executive order aimed at restricting birthright citizenship to only apply if at least one parent is a citizen. For now, that policy is blocked nationwide, and the High Court allowed the hold to stay in place. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, between federal cuts and newly imposed tariffs, some farmers say they're taking a 1-2 punch that we'll all feel at the kitchen tables.
WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Budin spoke with experts about the potential impact, as well as with farmers who are asking, where's the money?
We're talking about federal programs and signed contracts that suddenly went up in smoke, leaving farmers and small businesses across our area scrambling to stay afloat. It is a challenging time for the people who put food on our tables.
And the biggest thing overall is that no one is being communicated with.
The Fresh List works with small family farms throughout the Carolinas, helping to get the food they grow to restaurants and home kitchens across the Queen City.
And for you?
Last year, the Fresh List worked with 150 Charlotte restaurants and almost 200 farmers in the Carolinas. Almost all are now facing uncertain futures thanks to federal cuts.
Our contracts for our food purchasing through our federally approved food purchasing were cut for 2025. That program was cut from the budget by the Trump administration, so we won't be able to do the largest volume of sales that we were doing.
That amounts to $25,000 a week worth of food that Fresh List was buying for donation, meaning the farmers lose that profit and low-income recipients won't get that food. And those contracts were actually signed back in January and then suddenly canceled. Another issue, U.S. Department of Agriculture grants are reimbursement-based.
You're just kind of high and dry.
Courtney McAllister is the co-owner of the Country Carrot in Rock Hill and the director of the Catawba Farmers Coalition.
All this money has to be spent before you get the reimbursement. When you submit for the reimbursement and it is rejected or doesn't come through for whatever reason, all these different things that now we're having to take a curve and figure out what the business looks like going forward without the funding that we already signed contracts for.
Confusing directions on tariffs also means they can't make as much money exporting their products, and the goods they normally use to make their products now cost more.
Right now, it's making it difficult for us to have a clear direction on which way we're going.
I think it's just the uncertainty and not knowing. It's not even just like day to day, it's hour to hour.
Benga Adjalori is the chief economist at the Center on Budget and Policy and Priorities, a nonpartisan think tank.
There's paralysis because there's a lot of uncertainty. And so it's one of those things where you're trying to plan for the next harvest season. You're trying to plan about what you need for inputs, fertilizer, and you just have no idea what things are going to cost. And that's the biggest concern is like it could cost a certain thing today, and then tomorrow there could be another announcement, and then that's going to cost something different.
Before coming to the think tank, the economist worked for the federal government, helping to dole out grants to farmers.
A lot of people can't comprehend these were signed contracts that have been in place in some cases for years, where, as you said, the farmers are doing the work, they're hiring extra staff, they're buying extra cattle, they're producing more, and suddenly the money they've spent is not being reimbursed even though it was a signed contract. How can that be? A lot of people just don't really understand how that can actually happen.
Actually, I'm confused too as someone who worked in the federal government, so I'm at a loss too.
In Charlotte, Michelle Budin, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, new and expecting parents could be in for some serious sticker shock as President Trump's tariffs begin to take effect. That's because some of the biggest brands in diapers, strollers, and car seats are imported from China. Now, some young families say they're looking for deals and bargains before prices rise, while others are checking out consignment and secondhand shops.
Things are very expensive, and it's not just like baby products, but everything. And so in order to try to make sure we're cutting down on buying baby goods, we are often finding ourselves going to used stores.
However, there's one thing you shouldn't buy secondhand, and that's car seats. Experts say there are potential safety risks like hidden damage, expired seats, or recalls.
The long-awaited resentencing hearing for Lyle and Eric Menendez is now postponed. Yesterday's hearing came to a halt just hours after attorneys arrived at the courthouse. Robert Kovacic reports on the last-minute decision.
The critical resentencing hearing of the Menendez brothers. Worldwide media in place outside. Spectators hoping to get inside the courtroom through a lottery.
What is your hope moving forward?
My hope is that they're released.
I had parents, and these people killed their parents 35 years ago.
Menendez relatives ready to testify, including Anaria Brown, who did time with Lyle Menendez in prison.
I think it's important for the judge to be aware that they had changed their lives in there, and they did it before any law came into place, before there was any hope.
And then there are the two brothers, Lyle and Eric Menendez, from prison, who were present in court through a video link. But their fight for freedom, once again, postponed.
When we do the resentencing hearing, that we will get Judge Jessic to reduce this to a manslaughter and release them on time served. That's what the goal is here.
The prosecution and the defense feuding over whether the judge should factor in a risk assessment initiated by Governor Newsom to determine the brothers' potential risk to public safety if he were to grant them clemency.
We wanted to make sure that the judge got a copy of that report. It represents additional facts, and the prosecution doesn't fear facts.
District Attorney Nathan Hochman has made it clear the brothers should not be resentenced for the 1989 murders of Kitty and Jose Menendez inside their Beverly Hills home. The defense claims Hochman, who grew up less than a mile from that home, has a personal interest in the case and must be recused.
The family does not want to go through this charade anymore with the DA.
Hochman responding, our office remains committed to ethical and impartial prosecution. We believe the facts will demonstrate that our conduct has been professional, appropriate, and in the interest of justice.
Today was a little bit disappointing for us as a family as we march on.
Turning now to the weather, and we have seen some rain, but not really a lot as of late.
Yeah, the most recent drought monitor that comes out every Thursday didn't really move too much, so that's good. Didn't get that much worse, I guess. And here's a look at the drought monitor. So what you're looking at is data on the left, North Carolina, the right is South Carolina. So whenever you hear dry, that means abnormally dry. And I also refer to that as pre-drought. So that means here, hey, things are starting to brown off, but there's really no big effects of drought. Well, about 37 to 38% of North Carolina officially under moderate drought, nearly half of South Carolina, and most of that little tan color that you see in there is our viewing area here through Charlotte. So we're actually at the dire need, especially where we have a lot of people that want to plant some things. You may need to try to water it each and every day. But how much rain do we actually need to overcome and cure this drought? Now, typically around this time of year, you need over about 3.6 to 3.9 inches of rain per month. We are well below that so far in April. Luckily, we're going to switch things over to a wetter forecast. But in 1 month, Charlotte needs to see 6.77 inches of rain. So this is a specific tool that I use. I'm not just making up numbers over here that factors in the atmospheric conditions, worst case scenario, how much rain that we typically see, how much rain we need to overcome the dry ground. Morganton is much drier, and that's also, you notice, it's really closer to McDowell County where they had some of those fires. Bone dry at that point, so they need a lot more. Meanwhile, in 3 months, which is a little bit more reasonable, because that 6 to 8 inch range, if that happens all at once, it could lead to some flash flooding. But over time, if we're getting about 1 to 2 inches per week, still going to take a while. You still need a range about 13 to 16 plus inches of rain. But what's the chances of that? Not good. The chances of overcoming a drought in 1 month is mainly less than 10%. It's a better chance around about a third to a half almost in the 3 month period across our area, but it's really not trending in a good direction. But Lisa asked this question, and good thing I answered it right before. It was, which month is the wettest month? And it is August. And August actually by a landslide, and that's a lot of times because of the thunderstorms that pop up that time of year, and February is the driest. Now, as you can see, in general, we see about 3 to 4 inches each and every month. May comes down a little bit, but that March to April period, it's that kind of April showers bring May flowers type of mentality. We didn't reach the mark in March. We haven't met it so far in April. Now, luckily, we have daily rain chances coming up, but it's not trending in a good direction.
And you were saying, too, that's the one reason why pollen has been really bad this year, especially because we're not getting that relief from the rain.
Yeah, and it's a social science, too, because you're seeing a lot more yellow than you otherwise did. Because it was actually, Megan asked me this when she was doing a Verify piece. The previous March, at the point that we had recorded that, had 11 days of measurable rain. We had only 5 at that point, so it's significant. Going forward, though, any sort of rain is really holding off until about Tuesday, but the winds are going to be gusty, so we're still going to have a chance for those fires to burn, be fueled by those gusts up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour today and tomorrow. Gusts as high as 30 are a possibility. A little bit lighter on Easter, but then they come right back up. So words to describe next week: breezy, wet, cloudier, a bunch of those going on. In the meantime, enjoy the good, just keeping the drought situation in the back of your mind, because we will have some relief on the way. Feels more like June, so do June-like things. Go around water. When it was 85 degrees on Monday, I gave JT the hose. He sprayed me with it. His aim has gotten incredibly better than last year. June 18th, he's only 2, by the way, so that puts in perspective. 88 degrees by tomorrow, and then the mid-80s Sunday and Monday. June 7th to June 10th is when that feels like. So yeah, it actually feels like the last days of spring compared to the middle of April. But what's about to change is the rain potential, and here's why. What we've been seeing multiple times, we saw it in Kentucky, now we're seeing it over the next couple of days around Missouri over to Arkansas, is that these fronts are going from one place to another and then they stop. We're going to have that case and scenario, so there's still a lot of question marks what we see really at the end of next week. Now, it's a pretty good clarity that we're going to have a cold front move through on Monday night heading into Tuesday, and when that moves through, we're going to see widespread rain to end your Tuesday and Tuesday night. Then we take a little bit of break. Then you have scattered rain on Wednesday. Take a little break. Scattered rain then ends heading into Thursday. And where this sets up, if it turns into a stationary front, as this is indicating, that could be days of rain potentially. Not saying build an arc type weather, not indicating that because you don't have a lot of moisture, but it is definitely seeing a much bigger impact by the end of the week, as this weekend warm up eventually is going to give way via the jet stream. But we're still staying warm, still holding on to around 80 degrees through the middle of next week with those constant rain chances. So enjoy the dry weather. Today's the sunniest, by the way. And morning commute wise, how's it looking, Destiny, compared to that busy start?
Well, things were looking good, but I did just find this camera view of I-77 at the South Carolina Welcome area. So close to the state line, maybe Fort Mill area. An accident, apparently a very fresh one, that just happened here on I-77. This is southbound, mile marker 89. So we don't have any information based off of what's showing up on the map, because this is a very new accident. Looking down in the Fort Mill area, not seeing any big backups. It's likely just happened, but we'll of course keep an eye on it. The accidents that we do have reported right now, of course, are in the Charlotte area. Northeast of Uptown, an accident on North Davidson Street at Belmont Avenue. We also have a new accident on Central Avenue at North Sharon Amity Road. Again, these not causing any serious backups. South Tryon Street at Tyvola Center Drive, north of Shopton Road. We do know that there's one patient in this accident with non-life-threatening injuries. But of course, we'll keep an eye on that other accident as well that may be affecting folks in South Carolina.
We are now just 2 days away from Easter, and you may be changing the way that you celebrate this year as the cost of eggs skyrockets to just under $6 per dozen on average.
Yeah, and Wallet Hub finds nearly half of all Americans have less extravagant plans this year, with 47% planning to skip dyeing eggs due to higher prices. However, 2 alternatives for eggs are going viral: marshmallows and potatoes.
Now, we would never recommend something without knowing if it worked ourselves. So earlier this morning, we tested them out. Take a look.
We're going to just start this because the potatoes take a little bit longer.
Okay.
So let's maybe do a quick little green to the red.
Oh, you're doing.
We're just gonna do it like that.
Okay. All right. And then the blue.
Then I look forward to the blue potato.
Okay.
That's
all
very
right.
nice.
Let's do the marshmallows.
Okay, I'm gonna come visit you over the green.
Okay.
This is kind of fun. I enjoy putting marshmallow on a stick around a fire, but never I've done it in dyes before.
I want to eat the marshmallow.
Cute, actually.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That actually is a good idea.
It's gorgeous. Man, okay, Lisa wins the marshmallow off.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, ready?
All right, now we're going to check the potatoes. We have toothpicks.
Oh, man, I didn't know that. It's too late. I already have green fingers.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's actually not too bad. What do you say?
It's like an egg.
The mom and me is like, no, Chris, use the toothpick. But you're like, fingers.
And I kept going for it.
You really did.
My thumb was a beautiful color, though.
Do you think your 2-year-old would enjoy dyeing potatoes or marshmallows?
Well, probably. We're not going to do that to ourselves, just letting you know. He probably would. We would not, because we were in panic, and you were showing that you were standing back when I was grabbing
up.
stuff.
I thought you were going to splash it on me.
You also have to keep your kids from eating it, too.
Oh, yes.
Because with marshmallows, you associate with, let me eat it. Squishy.
Yeah.
It smells good, but no.
I wanted to eat those marshmallows this morning.
I wanted to eat the potatoes. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a quick break, but you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another update on weather and traffic at 8:56. Then at 9 o'clock, our own Jade Monreal, you see her there, will take over the live news from our new Impact studio, again on WCNC Plus. A doctor from Novant Health is going to be there to talk about mental health. We'll also have all the live breaking events as they happen from across our area and the country right here on WCNC Plus. Make sure you stay with us.
Good morning. It is 8:56 and we are following a very recent crash this morning on I-77 southbound. This is around mile marker 89, the South Carolina Welcome area. I believe this is near Fort Mill. Right now, we're not seeing any official reports on the map, nothing from SCDOT yet, but as you can see, there's some wreckage in the road here, cars trying to get around it on I-77 southbound again as folks are headed from Fort Mill, Rock Hill into the Charlotte area. So just a heads up on that. We'll likely be sending out some information soon on our WCNC Charlotte news app. And then we do have, of course, a couple of accidents this morning that are also in the area. So just drive safely wherever you're headed this Easter weekend. I'll send it to Chris for weather.
Thanks a lot, Destiny. At least it's a beautiful day. Today looks like it's actually going to be the sunniest of the week, mid-80s, challenging a record on Saturday. One of the warmest Easters on record on Sunday. We cool off slightly in the lower 80s with on and off rain chances starting Tuesday through next week. Take care, everybody. We're continuing to stream right here on WCNC Plus. Join us.